Hey everybody, before we get started, I just want to remind you this episode is brought to you by patrons like Ahiko Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Nestor Flores, Rogue Robin, Soda-Suno424, and Video Gamer 75. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Thanks for your support, everybody. Hello everyone! Welcome back to the channel. It is time once again to talk about Star Wars Legion by Fantasy Flight Games. So, just today, we published my video on the proposed Legion unit leaks, where I said at the end, I was told by Fantasy Flight, not me specifically, but in general, we the community were informed that previews for stuff coming out in February wouldn't be until February. Well, I guess, fuck me then, because, hey, today we got a Phase 2 Clone Troopers preview. So I don't know if that's like kind of like how Rex and Dooku got suddenly moved up, and it's like, oh shoot, we're gonna throw these guys out there faster than we think kind of thing. I would definitely take it as an interpretation that they are coming sooner in February rather than later. But yeah, so that preview came out, so let's discuss it. So we're actually finally into some new content, some new stuff. Been a long time. I actually had to look up some stuff because I'm like, wait, what? How's it work again? So let's talk about the Phase 2 Clone Troopers, the more veteran, experienced Clone Troopers. Second core option available to the Galactic Republic. Let's jump into it. Alright, so as per the usual, the full preview includes the full unit card and all that stuff. So, Phase 2 Clone Troopers are a core unit. Sorry, I'm a little nasally this morning. Well, it's the afternoon. But I've only been up a little while. Slept in, it's cold. But they are a core unit for the Republic. They are a 4-mini unit by default. They cost a whopping 60 points, so these are very expensive boys. They have 1 wound, but do have 2 courage, which is pretty rad on a core unit. And also very important to clones. They love those extra actions. And you can kind of massage them with the Clone Trooper keyword, which these guys obviously have. You can kind of finagle that so that you can have guys like to your rear who aren't getting shot take extra actions and give tokens still, but it's always better to have both your actions and avoid suppression. So having 2 courage really helps out with that. They are speed 2, pretty standard. Oh, and I just realized I talked about the courage. Red defense, obviously. You know, the Phase 2 armor's pretty good. Much better fit. They only have a couple of keywords. They still have the same fire support keyword, which is pretty critical to the Republic strategy, I would say. And they have a new keyword, Reliable 1, at the start of the activation phase, gain 1 surge token. So, these guys are great as just, a couple of veterans leading your backline units, or leading your frontline shiny units, because they just get free surge tokens, which your whole army can use, or at least all your core units can. So, like most of your army. Now, for upgrades, they've got heavy weapon, personnel, training, gear, and grenades. So with the training and the extra courage, it's really interesting. So we've already diverged, kind of. At least the Clone Troopers have. Like, Super Battle Droids are basically the Separatists' variant on the Snow Troopers and Fleet Troopers strategy. Admittedly, they're a little bit different because they're a little bit burlier, and they've got their Armor 1 effect, and so on and so forth. But they are still a mostly close-ranged focused brawling trooper. Like, you can't just send them out to die, march out front, they'll die. They don't have enough reach. And I know Snow Troopers aren't necessarily, especially since they did errata the Disruptor. They aren't as focused on that, but still a lot of people ran them with a flamethrower, and when they were originally designed, they were clearly designed to be up close and personal, with that Ion Disruptor being range 1 to 2. So they kind of fit in that mold. They can touch a little outside of their zone with some heavy weapons, and they're certainly beefier than, say, Fleet Troopers are in terms of raw units, but I still find them in kind of the same niche of like, okay, these are your close quarters brawling troops. You want to get these guys, to use them best, you want to get these guys right up in there, shoot some guys, get out. Phase 2 Clone Troopers are much more like Shore Troopers and Rebel Veterans. They have training upgrades, they have extra courage, they are literally veteran units. These are the guys that have been in the shit for a while, and, wearing upgraded armor that makes them a lot more effective. So obviously they've been in it for a while. For weapons, they're pretty typical. They have a single black die unarmed, and then they have their DC-15A, so they have a black die range 1 to 3 weapon. No offensive surge, obviously. No surges either way. So, a fairly balanced unit. The primary get here you get for those extra points off the regular Phase 1. Well, I should say Phase 1. They don't have to be regular. But your standard Phase 1, it's 8 more points, which is quite a lot for a unit jump. You probably are not going to, switch over to using all Phase 2s, especially for now, until there's a little bit more unit variety. But for that, you do get an extra courage, and you do get free surge tokens, and these aren't agile or tactical. You just get them at the start of your activation phase. There's nothing you have to do. These guys can be suppressed, they got a surge token. They can be immobilized, surge token. And so that can really help them out with some strategies we'll talk about in a second. But overall, unit-wise, they're just slightly more elite. Republic, gotta be careful with those re-words. Republic are still an elite army, even more so than the Empire is. So these guys are your extra elites. You will probably want to do a 1-to-2 ratio with them. Especially since, unlike Shore Troopers and Rebel Vets, they don't come with a detachment that, sucks up your extra slots. So, I would say probably, I'd have to do the exact list math, but I'm saying, 2 of these guys, and then 4 Phase 1s. Maybe 1-to-1, 3 Phase 2s, 3 Phase 1s, if you can make that squish. Especially if you're running pure Captain Rex, you can get a little more wiggle room in there. And obviously that helps your whole Clone Trooper synergy out. And as more and more Clone Trooper units come out, we will continue to get that opportunity. But yeah, so they are expensive, nobody can deny that, but what you get out of them can be pretty potent, and we'll talk about their potential upgrades in a second. So, them upgrades. Excuse me, sorry about that. Thought I got all my coughs out in between slides. So none of this is really new news, except that now we've got point values and some details hammered out. So we'll start with the right over here. So an extra Phase 2 Clone Trooper costs 15 points. That's 75 points for 5 guys. It's a lot of guys. I don't know if you're going to do that one a lot, but you could. We'll have to see as time and space goes on how people feel. I gotta be honest, I don't know if the 15 points for the extra HP and the extra black die, I know that they're valuable a lot because of the surge and stuff, but it just seems like a lot. But next we've got the Phase 2 Z6 Trooper, which a lot of people are like, oh, it's kind of lazy, and sure it is, but these guys do get at least 1 surge token, and for 27 points, being the more expensive option, you get the usual 6 white dice at range 1 to 3. I know, it doesn't really improve your max range, but it does double your damage cap, and you do get a surge token with these guys, and you can spend your buddy's aim tokens and whatnot. And we'll talk more about some other upgrades that come in the pack after we're done with the upgrades on the slide. But overall, it's just a very generic one. But it can work. And then we've got what a lot of people, I think, have been looking forward to, the Phase 2 Mortar Trooper. So, this guy's only 25 points, 10 more points off the extra trooper. The weapon is range 2 to 4, and is 2 black dice with critical 1, suppressive, and cumbersome. So, it's kind of like a rocket trooper style upgrade, in the sense that it's got a minimum range, it only adds a couple of dice, but it's focused on anti-infantry, so it's got critical 1, and it's got suppressive. So, normally cumbersome weapons, people are like, oh, that kind of sucks. Because it does kind of suck a little bit. But with clones, you've got a very interesting position. So, Phase 2 troopers, also, more importantly, unlike a lot of rocket launchers, except the RPS, the Phase 2 mortar trooper does not tap. So he can do this every round, assuming you don't move. And even if you do move, he's still giving you the extra black die for his just generic rifle. But what I was going to say about clone troopers is, 1, Phase 2 troopers at least, reliable 1. They have 1 surge token. This means that if you take a range 4 pot shot without doing anything, let alone if you want to actually take an aim or a dodge or something, you basically get 2 fully modded black dice with suppressive. So you're looking at probably two 2 suppression, maybe a crit hit, you know, depending. Well, maybe a crit hit, but black dice are decently accurate, and then you've got the surge on top of it, so you can very easily make some hits, and maybe you can flip one of those to a crit. Like, if you roll a surge, there's a crit. As advertised, this makes it good against enemies who are dug into cover, because, as I like to say anyway, critical is more flexible than impact. It's a little bit harder to trigger, but when you do trigger it, it's much more valuable, because it's not just penetrating armor, but also cover, dodges, all those other shenanigans. So it makes it a fairly multi-purpose weapon. You love that extra range 4. Captain Rex can make your whole squad range 4s, because they can push it up. And actually, since range 5 is a thing now, you could also make a range 5 mortar shot, but that's probably a little excessive. You're instead gonna throw in, like, six black dice with crit 1 suppressive. It just ruins somebody's day. Because suppressive sucks, guys. It's already taking 1 suppression from basically a successful ranged attack is pretty effective, especially since most default cores only have 1. And you think to yourself, especially if you're playing matches against droid troopers, oh, those guys, they're hardened. They're droid troopers. They don't get suppressed. They can only get panicked. Well, 2 suppression is better than 1 in that case. You're moving them up that track a little bit faster. And against other armies, which are not droid troopers, that's just 2 suppression. You you blast a core unit guy with that from range 4, unless they rally, they're looking at a panic. Assuming they're not inside their commander's bubble. Though, for Separatists, that means they have to be running Dooku, because Grievous is not good at that. Also, hey, think about that. Range 4, suppress Grievous from downtown. I shrugged there and made faces. So, there's that. With the reliable 1, you can get your downtown shots. You can even do with Rex some big game shots. But also, you can use your buddies' tokens, too, without even, just the clone trooper effect. So, you can use another ally's aim tokens, surge tokens, whatever tokens. Oh, and, take a standby. And, spoilers, because we're going to talk about some of the upgrades that are in this pack in a second. They've revealed, and it's obvious it was on the spread, Overwatch is in this pack, so you can get Sentinel, so you can get a range 3 standby. And unless I'm mistaken, the standby effects don't have to listen to Cumbersome, so you can jog up, standby, and then, oh, you're in range 3, hey, there's the 6 black dice critical 1 suppressive in the middle of your movement. So that's gonna scuff up your day a little bit. Can be very effective. So the Mortar Trooper with a lower price point definitely seems like a good point. And I like that he's only a couple of dice. It doesn't go too far. It's just a little bit extra spice. But yeah, the range 4 and then the suppressive effect is good enough on its own. We've talked before a lot with DLTs, that range 4 chip shot is very useful. Well, imagine if the DLT, instead of being impact 1, was suppressive. Oh wait, except the Phase 2 Mortar Trooper still has critical 1. So he still got surge conversions. Which just, again, since these guys don't have surges, that's just great anyway. Like, you're always going to want to be trying to move those in, and because you can do token sharing and you can do some other shenanigans, it will be very effective, I think. So, I think the Mortar Trooper is the real winner here. And I know some people are still going to complain about the line of sight thing. I say it's an abstraction because the game can't... Otherwise, the game can't really account for your perfect knowledge. Because as a player, you have perfect knowledge of the board state. But your troopers don't. That's why line of sight exists. So until they decide to introduce a mechanic for out of line of sight firing, which I wouldn't be surprised if they did. It would be pretty easy to do. Armada's even doing some similar stuff. But until they actually introduce that mechanic, you have to just eat it. Because it's like, think of it this way. If there's a guy behind the wall and you're like, I can arc a mortar shot over that, ask yourself, how do your mortar trooper know where those guys are? I don't know. I guess they just talked or something. You don't have comms upgrades on these guys, even though the clone trooper armor does have an integrated comm link, I think. That's fluff stuff. Sorry, I've been reading Collapse of the Republic and Rise of the Separatists lately, working on some stuff. Anyway, I just think that it's an abstraction because as a player, you can always go, well, I, as a physical human being, can see that there's guys behind that wall, but that's too powerful because that's not how the military simulation works. So it's kind of one of those double simulation things, like you're selectively simulating, you're like, oh, but they could shoot over the wall. Yeah, but they can't see those guys on the other side of the wall, and, it's adding layers of complexity. Anyway, the preview article mentions another couple of upgrades in the pack. As you can see from the spread, and we talked about already, Overwatch is in there. That's a pretty good one for training. I mean, you could go for Aggressive Push, the one that lets you tap to get Tactical 1, but they already have Reliable 1. I don't know what you're doing there. Like, I don't necessarily know why you'd need that, especially with token sharing. You can just have somebody in the back who can't shoot somebody take some aim tokens. Or heck, if they got a gear slot, Electro-Binocs are a thing. So they can just pass out spotters. So Overwatch, I think, is a really good one with the mortar. It's a really good choice for them. There's probably another couple. I don't know if you want to go Endurance, because they've, got the 2 cards already. But there could be some effects. Let me see. Are there obvious training upgrades I'm forgetting? Well, you could do Duck and Cover. That's 8 points. That's a little expensive on these guys. But they do have 2 Courage. I don't know if you want to go Hunter. And you definitely don't want to go Tenacity. So it's probably Overwatch just because it's the cheapest and most on point. Maybe Duck and Cover if you're really expensive and you really want these guys to live. But again, it's just way easier to have the guys behind them take a dodge token. If you don't have actions to take dodge tokens, let somebody else take an action to dodge token. We also can see from the spread, and it was in the article, that Grappling Lines is in here. You can gain, the old Expert Climber. It's good to have. That's a very good generic one. Grappling hooks are pretty cheap. But I also don't know how much clambering you're doing with these guys. I would say that probably for the same price point, environmental gear is probably better. Get Unhindered if you can get that. And of course, the lovely Recon Intel. I know Rex already loves scouting, but get your whole army some friggin' scout levels. It's great. Obviously they're very valuable, so you could take emergency stims, but those are very expensive these days. But the aforementioned Electro-Binoculars is not crazy if you're planning on doubling up on a couple of these units, but that might be better served by passing out to your, like I said, your cheaper guys in the back. They can Electro-Binoc. Though, it would be very thematically correct. A lot of these guys, I think the Commander and the Mortar guy have the little Electro-Binoc visors they can slap down. That's pretty cool. And I believe these guys can be modeled with or without helmet. And they might have some other pose options. I know a lot of people are like, the kneeling guy looks a little weird. And then the pack clarifies that they come with impact grenades. Which I would say, so on the one hand, I mean, I can see the logic, right? Impacts are, they give you impact, 4 or 5 or 6 if you're going fully out there. And as we've discussed, the mortar does have a minimum range. It can't engage at range 1, and it has critical 1. At the same time, frags and conks are the same cost. So it's really about what keyword you want to add, because it's basically, if you really want blast, concussion grenades, do that. If you really want impact 4 or 5, impact grenades, add that. I would gotta be honest, much like Rebel Troopers, I think frag grenades are the best for these guys, because one, it's a red die, so that is an upgrade to your offense, and then you get Surge to Crit. So if you actually get close with these guys, which is not crazy, you can switch to frags, because there's still no EMP grenades yet. And smoke's okay. It's a little bit more expensive though, and with a unit that is already premium, you're counting every penny here. So impact grenades is not a bad default, but I would probably prefer frags, as would most people, just for the upgrade. And that's what comes in the pack. And so that is the Phase 2 Clone Troopers. I think I almost said Phase 2pers. But that is the Phase 2 Clone Troopers preview. Coming a little early, apparently. So I'm pretty sure the new unit announcements in February won't happen until February, because officially the current batch of units won't be out until January 31st. I know some people are already getting them, and will continue to get them early because of, like I said, that date mix-up earlier. And if you don't know that, check out the video on the leaks, because those could be those very things they're announcing. You never know. I don't know how reliable the source is, but I figured it was worth mentioning anyway. But then there's still the question. So we got a preview. What preview are we going to get next? Phase 2 Clone Troopers are out, and the way I see it, there's two logical choices. Watch them bamboozle me and do the AAT preview. But either the intent is for, I'm pretty sure the upcoming page still says that all of these are coming out in February, but I guess the question is, like, how are they handling them? Will they all come out at the same time in February? What are they going to focus on first? So the question is, will it be the Saber Tank? Will we show the next Republic unit off, which I believe is the next product code? Or will we show off the complement, the kind of the parallel unit, the Phase 2 equivalent, the Super Battle Droids, the B2s? And so that's just my question, is, like, which one are we going to get next? It's already Thursday, right? Yeah, it's not Friday. I wouldn't be recording this if it was Friday. We have another show. There's that. But anyway, it's already Thursday. Usually we do releases on Friday, so we're probably not going to talk about anything, announce anything new or previews or whatever. Maybe, you never know. They seem to move the schedule of when they preview/announce stuff around a lot in the week. But I doubt, it's probably just that it's like, maybe we're 4 weeks out, we're a month away from these guys actually dropping in February, so they decided to start that at a process, get all 4 out of the way. So next week we'll see what preview comes up next. I don't really have any particular preference. I love the Saber Tank a lot, and I'm very eager to see what some of those new keywords do on some of the ordnance and stuff, and hopefully they spoil all that stuff for us. And some other interesting interactions. But there's also some unanswered questions about the B2s and what roles they'll cover. And what does Cycle do? They still haven't told us, Are we going to get a rules reference update soon? But, yep, that's out of the way. That's all that. So, stay tuned for more Legion news, guys. We'll be sure to cover if those leaks are real. And, of course, any further unit previews and real announcements and stuff that come out. Anything else like that. Alrighty, so, if you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments on the Phase 2 Clone Troopers, what do you think about the Mortar Trooper? Leave those in the comment section down below. You can also join our Discord. That link is in the description and on our channel page, as always. If you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to always get our latest videos, such as more Legion news and other things that we do. I know, I've promised all kinds of RPGs we're going to record. It's not my fault, it's my group's fault. I've got a dirty commie, and he always has to go to his group meetings. Every time we want a game, it's like, not tonight, I gotta go to a chapter meeting. It's real life, But I am sure at some point we will play the Star Wars RPG again, and I will record it and put it on the channel. Just because that's how I roll. And as I said in our last Legion video, if you haven't checked out the leak video, which you should, it's cool and speculative, and there's a lot of conversation to be had there. But I also mentioned that if you want my thoughts on some other Star Wars stuff, like Fallen Order, or The Mandalorian, or Rise of Skywalker, check out our regular show, What's Up? You can especially check out last week's episode, Fallen Arc Knights. That is explicitly me and Lucky, my co-host's review of Fallen Order in its entirety, with spoilers and stuff, though, so watch out for that. Along with some other stuff, So it's good to sub, and it's also good to hit that bell for notifications, so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. Make sure your notifications are set to all. I've had some people complain that YouTube didn't let them know that we were streaming before, so check that out. You'll always get a note when we get a new video. And like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. I'm looking to buy a new computer, actually. I don't know if that'll directly improve these Legion videos, but it might. I might get some better software. Alrighty. I will see you guys in the next Legion video. Like I said, probably going to be B2 Super Battle Droids or Saber Tank preview. Take your bets. AAT and Omega gets fucked is a perfectly valid bet. Let me know in the comments. Alright, see you next video, everybody. And, watch those wrist rockets.